Unfortunately, that's just how
that's the reality of it. Yeah.
Yes. Sometimes you get a player only maturing at age 32, 33, 34.
Or not at all.
Some of them not at all.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a case of let's not use the excuse thereof of he's a young man, he needs to mature, he needs to be protected. Penalties are a gamble.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Simple as that.
I was just a
Those are-
ship.
Those guys are
MTN
something
8
else.
final. You know,
Sundowns are bullies, man.
yeah, they keep going.
Jeez, at this rate, I don't know what's gonna stop Mamelodi Sundowns. Eh?
I actually need water talking about Sundowns because it hurts the throat.
Can I throw a spanner in the works?
Okay.
This current Mamelodi Sundowns team,
Yes.
Yeah.
squad, compared to the Pito Mamelodi Sundowns team, squad that won the CAF Champions League. Because the one now is a completely different team.
Yeah.
All right? Which one would you say is better?
Isn't Rulani a coach? A manager?
No, he's a coach.
Kompela?
He's a coach. In South Africa, we've got coaches.
Jomo?
He's the team owner.
Nice one, Tiffy.
So if people are expecting VAR to do the refereeing job, then why do you need a referee then?
Then why do you need VAR? We can also ask that question.
It's to assist.
Long time before we see a level of dominance in the Premier League. It's become such a competitive league. It's so tough. And not to diminish Arsenal's achievement of going invincible when they did. I think it's even harder to do again.
Everton, for instance. Everton are likely to find themselves where they are because they really...
They're poor.
I haven't seen Everton that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, even Frank
Ever.
Lampard did a better job.
Chelsea find their feet as infinite athletes. Only 2 remain unbeaten. They're in North London. And Orlando Pirates get kicked from the continent. This is ONSIDE ZA, powered by BETWAY. Get way more. Join the BETWAY app and use the affiliate code ONSIDE ZA. It helps us, it helps you, and it helps absolutely everyone. So be sure to do it. Joining me in the studio, as always, Mr. Lenn Moleko.
What up?
Tepi Worldwide, thank you for joining us.
Darling.
Welcome, darling. And Super Sub.
Danko.
Thank you so much
Doesn't
for joining
he
us.
look like he's a lawn bowls player?
I can't see. He's a ghost.
No, he's giving me Phil Masinga vibes.
Hey, man. Feel my sing.
Lawn
He
bowls.
looks good. He looks good. He looks
Yeah.
good. Who doesn't look good, guys, is Orlando Pirates, who've been knocked out of the Continental Elite Championship, the CAF Champions League. Super Sub, I'm going to let you take this one. I want to make you sad to start things
Even
off
more.
with.
Yeah, man.
Double blow.
What? How many losses in a row in all competitions? 4?
Yeah, this one is not a loss per se, but technically it's a loss.
It's a loss.
I suppose, but then we say technically it wasn't a loss against Stelis
Stelis.
in MTN 8, I suppose.
Yeah. So it's 4 in a row, if we put it that way. And I'm starting to worry now.
Even words escape the most cunning.
Yeah, no, man. Yeah, I'm lost for words, That game for me, I think we let ourselves down, especially the senior players. Taking nothing away from the youngster, Relebohile Mofokeng, I think giving him the 4th penalty, I think it was a bit risky. He's young, and he showed that he gets jitters when he's playing big match, like against Sundowns, he was nowhere, eventually was substituted. And you can tell from that, he's still young, he needs to be protected, I don't know why the manager allowed that. I don't think he has raised his hands to take the penalty. I just think the senior guys were nowhere to be found, and the young man was left to take it upon himself. And he couldn't convert. And I just hope that does not impact him negatively in terms of his confidence, because that can go a long way,
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly enough, speaking about there's there's a conversation that I heard, I think it was last week, about maturity in football.
Yeah.
You get 18, 19-year-olds who are matured. And I know it's an unfair comparison to compare, but then they both play football and professional football. So, hell, I can just compare them. Mofokeng with a Jude Bellingham, with a Bukayo Saka, and all the other youngsters that we see doing it at a big stage.
Yeah.
Some players take longer to mature than others do. Unfortunately, that's just how
That's
it
the reality
works.
of it. Yeah.
Yes. Sometimes you get a player only maturing at age 32, 33, 34.
Or not at all.
Some of them not at all.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a case of let's not use the excuse thereof of he's a young man, he needs to mature, he needs to be protected. Penalties are a gamble.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Simple as that.
I was just about to say that penalties is your maturity doesn't. I mean, David Beckham skyrocketed one as the captain of England, a senior player with so many caps under his name, winning everything with Manchester United. He was senior, skied it over the crossbar. So penalties,
Yeah, look,
it can get the best of anyone.
yeah, I agree with you fully. And actually, big ups to him for stepping up.
Exactly.
You know, that's why I will never blame him. I just felt that I think senior players let us down in that game. They could have stepped up
Yeah.
and do the business, you know, and they were nowhere to be found. I mean, your Marco, your Shandu. But then again, it could be something that is coming from training that they haven't been really converting in trainings. And Mofokeng was converting with ease. That's why he had the confidence to step up, you know. So we don't know what really transpired in terms of the selection, you know.
Do you think that Pirates actually, and I know this is a very open-ended question, it's one that maybe one should have gone to one of their practice sessions if it was opened ahead of that game. Do you think they practiced penalties ahead of that match, considering that odds were not in their favor and a possibility of a 1-0 Orlando Pirates take us to the penalty shootout was there?
Look, there were always going to be
There
those
were,
probabilities,
yeah,
you know, and I
definitely.
would like to believe that as a team like Orlando Pirates will have those structures in training, which includes the possibility of penalties. You know, I think they practice, you know. I think for me, Orlando Pirates lost that game first leg. I think the manager underestimated running Galaxy, and we got a shock. And then second leg, we couldn't turn it around, you know.
You thought the players were
But then
coming
you start
from
to
shift.
question, Super Sub. I mean, why are you even? I mean, you are, you know, taking part in a continental showpiece, you know, and joining them finding themselves, you know, playing in the CAF Champions League means that they are the best in their country.
Yeah.
So how are you going into it and, you know, undermining or not going into it with the purpose of wanting to win? You know, it seems as though Orlando Pirates now is starting to do this thing. I mean, the same case, you know, with MTN 8, where, you know, they really got to the finals because of numbers. And unfortunately, in this case, you know, the numbers were not to their favor. So beg the question, what is going on with the Orlando Pirates? Should we start to worry? Or do we say, look, let them focus on the league and they might then just dust themselves off and then, you know, be the team that, you know, most people know it to be, you know, a winning team.
Look, I'll step in here.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Pirates can still compete on three fronts. They're through to the MTN 8 final. They've played the fewest games in the DStv Premiership. Okay, the points tally is not looking the most favorable, but they've played 3 games fewer than leaders Sundowns. And they still have Nedbank Cup coming up, which is a competition they can compete
Black
in once
Label.
again. And Black Label, which is
So it's
the one so far.
right? MTN, Black Label, Nedbank.
Do you count that?
Yeah, no, Black Label is now officially
No,
like
now
a
it's
big
a
one.
proper- it's a proper competition now.
the
It's not a-
preseason one.
It's not a
not a drinking patch.
It's not a Ken Cup anymore type of thing. So
Yeah.
it's cool. But going to what Tepi is saying,
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think there should be alarm bells ringing just yet. I mean, it's only been, what, like 4 games?
Not for sure.
You had a coach who went for 6 games before a trigger was pulled, kind of vibes. And if you look at those 4 games, if we are being fair on the balance of it all, right? Losing against Sundowns, nobody should, at the current juncture and how things are looking, you should not beat yourself up too much to lose against Sundowns, and especially in the manner that Pirates lost against Sundowns. Losing against Stellies,
You're already through.
you already through and you kind of
You didn't
calculated,
lose.
yeah. Losing against Jwaneng. Sometimes the smaller teams, it's not for preparation. Like when you're playing on the continent, it's not easy. It doesn't matter whether you're playing a team from Lesotho, Namibia, Swaziland. It's not easy.
Okay, and the cheaper result? Cheaper can throw you anytime, anyone.
And they've got the confidence now.
Yeah. So, yeah, you shouldn't sound alarm bells
No,
in
not at
isolation. I think the concern is the volume of games in
Yes.
recent time.
And we're not
What's it
scoring.
going to do to the confidence of a young side? That's my biggest issue there. But we have to give them the opportunity to come back and fix things.
Yeah, no,
Speaking of fixing things, there's nothing to fix over in Pretoria. Mamelodi Sundowns through to the group stages of
not
CAF
surprised.
Champions League. 8 wins out of 8 in the DSTV
Bulldozers,
Premiership.
those.
Those guys are
MTN
something
8
else.
final. You know,
Sundowns are bullies, man.
yeah, they keep going.
Jeez, at this rate, I don't know what's going to stop Mamelodi Sundowns. Eh?
I actually need water talking about Sundowns because it hurts the throat.
Yeah, and it's really giving a lot of, coaches sleepless nights. I mean, we had another coach, and he also indirectly mentioned that, you know what, they are really a force to be reckoned with. And I mean, we can excuse or talk about, how financially they are better off, they have better resources, but, as a team, they are formidable and there's nothing stopping them.
Yeah, look, I mean, that argument of resources, I mean, other
It should be
teams-
thrown out.
It should be thrown out. They've proved
They're a
that
team, and they're
beyond
doing well.
resources,
Yeah.
they are a good side. I mean, Orlando Pirates, we cannot say there's a lack of resources there. Kaizer Chiefs, we cannot say there's lack of resources there.
Facts, yeah.
So I think that conversation, we need to throw it out and give Mamelodi Sundowns their flowers. Sundowns are a well-oiled team.
Can I throw a spanner in the works?
Okay.
This current Mamelodi Sundowns team,
Yes.
Yeah.
squad, compared to the Mamelodi Sundowns team, squad that won the CAF Champions League. Because the one now is a completely different team.
Yeah.
All right. Which one would you say is better?
I think Pito's one is better in a sense that when Pito took over, they did not have that kind of experience in the continental showpiece.
Yep.
And I would like to believe that the Mamelodi Sundowns that is currently dominating got their footprint from the Pito's squad.
Yep.
And
they are a product of Bito. I think there was something interesting or amazing that Bito did. I'm not sure what type of research he did, but he was able to somehow conquer Africa. And there's a way to go about it, and he
used
mastered
basketball.
it.
He used basketball, actually. Do you
What
know
do you
that a
mean?
lot of coaches actually watch basketball to perfect their soccer formations and approach?
Interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah, but well,
I
if you
thought they
use
watched
basketball,
Onside
then
today. They watched Marcos Tactics.
especially with the previous episode, it was, it was too dope.
But like, if you're saying the Pito side was better, are you talking? I'm talking about play philosophy, because the philosophies are different. If you look at the philosophy that Pito had versus the one that Rulan is using right now, even going on the continent, Sundowns are fearful. They don't play the okay, cool, ish. We pack the pass, what. They come at you.
Yeah, look, I mean, that has not changed. Pito's Sundowns used to do the same. Used to go out there and give Allah the problem away. For me, it's difficult to say which one is better, but like I said, I feel like Sundowns is Sundowns because of Pito in terms of continental showpiece. He has
That's not
set
a
those
lie.
structures. Zwan is still there, remember? The captain.
Yeah.
Wait, was Rolani? Oh no, Rolani was at Pirates when Pito was coaching Sundowns, right? It was Pito and Mangoba, right?
He started at Sundowns
And then he
as
went
an
to
assistant.
Pirates.
He was part of the 2016 team that won the CAF.
Was he?
He was an assistant in the
I
team.
remember Patrice calling him, where's Rulani?
Yes, because
Okay.
Rulani was only coaching Pirates, I think in 2019, if I'm not
For a
mistaken.
very short time, yeah.
Well,
I'm saying this because, I mean, that could also then once again go back to what Super Sub was saying, is that Upito is a blueprint. So as much as Urulani might have different tactics and the way he approaches the match, but I mean, a lot of Pito rubbed off him.
I think it's quite a simple discussion in the end. it's much easier to coach a side full of confidence who wins back-to-back titles, wins everything that comes across their plate, and the confidence that brings. It's easy to
It's
score
immense.
goals. It's easy to flow, whatever. You don't have to disrupt the side too much. You introduce small little changes here and there just to keep the continuity. Start replacing old, weak legs with fresh, strong legs. You know, it makes life easier. So you will never shake the accusation of, am I better than thing? You'll never shake that, because at the end of the day, it's so much easier with a side that's been rolling everyone over. You've been handed over if David Moyes went and rolled over the Premier League, taking over Man United, people would have still never given him any credit, because he would have inherited it. I mean, that wasn't to be. But at the end of the day, I think that's going to be the argument forever. And speaking of arguments forever, no DStv Premiership action to look forward to other than the single game because of the upcoming FIFA break. Shall we talk about the game? Once off, Skakune United versus Polokwane City.
Well, it's a Limpopo derby. That's exciting.
Yeah, look, and Polokwane City. Duncan Lichisa left. I don't know if you saw that, Lenn.
Yeah, I did.
Lichisa left. Lihlolo Losiama is at the helm now.
That's my friend. I'm so happy for him.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So, look, I mean, Polokwane City, just one of those games. It's just
Look, for a side that were down there in the second tier league. They, after being promoted, I feel like they've actually punched a little bit above what many would have thought.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
They're doing relatively well. So, I mean, the coaching changes is probably the fact of, it's not probably a fact, because it's probably a fact, and that means that I know and somebody told
a
me.
fact,
And it
yes.
was, no, it's
a
probably
fact.
because.
Oh, okay.
Yes. They want to maintain their status in the Premiership, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, almost like the momentum that they have right now is like, let's go with it so that we amass enough points to actually be safe. And getting a Siema type person is very helpful, because he knows the setup in the Premiership, and he's able to almost get a team into calmer waters, as it were.
That's true. I mean, we know him to be the same guy that goes to cheaper once in a while when they're facing relegation, and he brings them back onto the top flight and then is told to go. So we know that he works well under pressure. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what Siema does this time.
And what's interesting is one is number 8, one is number
Exactly.
number 9.
Both on 10 points.
Both on 10 points.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be it's gonna be an interesting fixture.
It's a lovely derby.
And Brendan Truter, I mean, he got humbled by Kaizer Chiefs, so he's gonna come out very, 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 very
With
strong,
guns
I
blazing.
think.
I know Brendan Truter on his own is an excellent coach. I mean, remember, he was the one who helped Swallows to be promoted to the top flight.
Yeah.
So we know him to be an excellent, excellent coach. He just hasn't had the best luck in the past couple of months, I think.
No, I think he's got the luck. He just
He's
qualified
okay.
Skakune to the group stages.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah,
He's been doing well. Let's be
Yeah, but I
honest.
mean, like prior to this, I mean,
Yeah, well, at
it was a bit shaky
Amazulu,
for
yes.
him. Yeah,
and
it
at
was shaky.
Swallows, because remember there was a time he went like, 15 games,
Nje.
the draw, like
Yeah.
0-0, 1-1, 0-0, 1-1.
Yeah, I
then you
remember those
just
days.
then you just commend a coach for not conceding lots of goals.
Aish. You can't play 15 draws, Marco. That's
I'm
a
too
lot.
soft.
No.
It's better than going through the number of losses that Cape Town Spurs have gone through. And speaking of coaching changes, Sean Bartlett, we spoke last week.
We knew.
And you guys said it, eh?
How we called it. It just
Yeah.
We knew.
It was coming.
Yeah, I know. There was no way he was gonna survive the chop. Losing.
Fair or unfair?
Look, I mean, you already played quarter of the entire season and you haven't registered a point.
You're in the business of results when you're a coach. Fair or unfair, there's been way more unfair dismissals in coaching history than that one. So what can they do? But the proof is going to be in the pudding in coming weeks with what are they going to do? How much better are they going to get without him?
So my question is, and the reason why I'm asking fair or unfair, Marco, is that if we came here to record ONSIDE We didn't have mics. We didn't have computers, laptops, and cameras. But we're expected to actually produce an episode.
So why are you
Would we
recording?
be able to do it?
But why are you
I
recording?
will get
this?
fired still anyway. And people would be like, they must get fired. There was no episode.
Yeah.
Was he given the tools? That's my question.
No.
Look, at the end of the day, it's 11 against 11, and great coaches will tell you that sometimes you have to grind results with what's on your disposal.
There we go. I mean, we just said this right now about how resources don't count. Literally just now.
No. When I say resources, if so, when we were talking about resources don't count, we're talking about the millions and millions spent on players at Sundowns. How many free transfers were available at the end or when the transfer window opened in the league that other teams snapped up, but they was not snapped up by Cape Town Spurs? Look at the signings that the Amazulus of this world did. Skakune did. Swallows did. I mean, the list goes on. But with Cape Town Spurs, it's as if like they were depending on the legacy players, if I can put it like that.
Working what they
Because
have.
the players that they have, I mean, you were saying this the other time, they're defending with
Nazir Ali.
Nazir Ali, like old guys, they've got Morton in the team. So when they say like, you were able to win or you're able to get promoted with the same team, so take it to it necessarily does not, unfortunately, work like that. You
I have a
just
question.
need-
Look, they did have some signings. Clearly, their signings were not effective, you know. And again, it boils down to who's at the helm, who's in charge of those signings. Is it Sean? Is it the chairman? You know.
And we know what happens in the background sometimes.
You know,
If you are Sean Bartlett, guys, you've just lost a job. What do? Do you go back to Super Sport and just be on television? Do you go back to Kaizer Chiefs? What do you do?
I go play golf.
Look,
Ask Gary Neville. I think he's the only person in football history with a worse record than Sean Bartlett's had this season. And he's enjoying being a pundit. So go back to TV.
and who's gonna touch him with that record right now?
No, but he can go, like, for instance, for argument's sake, on the flip of what you guys are saying, he can walk into any team now and be used as a finishing coach. Almost kind of like the job that Benny McCarthy has at
Man United.
At Man United.
Exactly.
He was a prolific striker for the national team. He's played overseas. So he knows all about scoring goals. So which team right now is struggling to score goals? He
Kaizer
can
Chiefs?
probably go.
Quite a few Kaizer Chiefs.
He could go there as well.
Because
and
most people
assist.
were actually saying this on Twitter that he should just go back to Kaizer Chiefs and just help him finishing up front.
Yeah, look, and again, you know, I feel for Sean, you know, because I don't know if you guys remember, I was saying that his biggest problem with my observation is game management. You know, again, he scored first. They couldn't manage the game, you know, to go to the finish line, you know. So there is something good that was happening, but there was just something lacking there, you know.
Yeah, man. Wish him all the best. Unfortunately,
It's tough being a coach.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
by
it's
the way,
tough.
congratulations. So the new coach, Kimang, Kivaso Manosaki.
technically,
He's the assistant to temporary
no,
mode,
the
Sean
coach
Connor.
is Sean Connor, and the
Technically,
assistant
he is
is
a coach.
Vasily.
you know when,
Connor is
you know
just
when
there to
teams-
usher him.
You know when teams bring in a technical director,
Yeah.
especially in South African football, as a coach, just know that like, I need to start picking my bags little by little, because essentially what's going to happen is technical director is going to end up being interim coach, and you just
Like
gonna
what's
get
happening
thrown
at
in.
Say
Chipa
that,
right now.
Sean Connor is temporarily a head coach. So I would like to believe that.
Our friend.
Avolegila Masango.
But we discussed this last week after Gavin's discussion. We discussed it off air. Does South African football have managers, or do we have coaches?
We have coaches.
We have coaches. That's the thing. Is that
Isn't Rulani a coach? A manager?
No, he's a coach.
Kompela?
He's a coach. In South Africa, we've got coaches.
Jomo?
He's the team owner.
Nice one, Jomo is a manager.
Everything.
there's more to be said about that, man. Okay, and we all shocked here that Black Leopards have gone through another manager. Shocked.
Why are you shocked?
Devastated.
Even me.
Shocked. Black
Look at that
Leopards
door,
firing a
guys.
manager.
They fight former Real Madrid coach, youth development
coach.
I'm shocked.
Okay.
But again, the results have been poor.
Results were poor, and they've got ambitions to come back to the elite league. You know,
And I
They've
mean,
just
it's a good
spent so
time
much money.
also. It's a good time for them to want to pick up their socks now.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
it's,
they're
it
gonna
would be
hire
nice
Sean
to have
Butler.
another Limpopo team in the top
Well,
flight.
he said
Well, he's not
Kaizer is
gonna
far.
go there.
He said it's far, so I don't think he's gonna get that job. Sean, see what you did, my friend.
But who then?
Yeah, no. I think they've appointed former Malawian, what's his name, Mponda, but I can double check that one. Look, I mean, I don't know if that's gonna.
Who's actually unemployed right now? Because Akira Kevin's got a job. Den Dance has got a job.
Just got a job.
Then he's got a job.
Barocca.
Yes, Barocca.
Yes.
It's Middendorp.
My man, I told you.
I don't see it.
We know where this movie is going. Relax, you'll see. He probably has a job already, but he's not been announced.
Yeah.
Who is unemployed currently?
Yeah, because
That's top tier
Clinton Larson, I think, is somewhere in NFD.
in NFD.
Is
Yes,
it? Okay.
NFD
Clinton, yeah.
or bottom down there.
Yeah.
Let me
Thingy.
see.
Former Orlando Pirates coach,
Which one?
co-coach. He like the son
Fadlu
of
Davids.
Fadlu Davids. I think he's still unemployed.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
moving on swiftly. Do we want to talk Kaizer Chiefs got a fine for the fans? We knew it was coming. 200,000 rand. Chiefs.
Okay, can I just mention something that I think is unfair? And I know there's no other way, right? Or they should find another way. I think it's unfair that if Kaizer Chiefs supporters were to have, another situation where, Kaizer Chiefs gets fined, then they are going to play a match with no spectators. But that means that the other team also then, is at a disadvantage. It's not only going to be Kaizer Chiefs supporters. Obviously, you can't tell whether a person is a Kaizer Chiefs supporter or not. So I think that's kind of unfair for the other team.
But whenever you play against Chiefs, they always have more supporters than you in South
Marok
Africa.
Salah,
So at
you're
the end
like-
of the day, having no fans is better than any fans in terms of your volume of distribution of support.
What do you say, Lenn?
Well,
Chiefs always have a 12th man. We saw Tuesday night FNB Stadium. Okay, not
Yeah, but
jam-packed.
there were still people.
But in South African
yeah.
terms, on a Tuesday night, FNB Stadium had some people. So Kaizer Chiefs always bring crowds. I think that Kaizer Chiefs always have a disadvantage if it's behind closed doors.
so
Always.
Especially if they're playing outside Gauteng. If they're in Gauteng, they only have a crowd when they're playing Pirates.
But
and
the
Sundowns.
support everywhere for Chiefs around the country is big.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, definitely.
Well, because that's an access thing. Because you don't have access to the team on a regular basis.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
That's
by
why
the-
you
every
go.
time they come to town, you quickly rush there.
Careful,
Anyway, tell
careful.
people-
Stop saying Gauteng, Kaizer Chiefs fans are spoiled and they don't go support. The comments are going to go, be careful.
Yo, and speaking of which, I saw something so weird. Sorry, just 1 second. So the story is that Kaizer Chiefs supporters on Twitter were saying,
Aye. Lenn, please.
Kaizer Chiefs supporters, I saw on Twitter something about how, we know that the final at Moses Mapida is sold out.
Yeah.
And the story is that Kaizer Chiefs supporters bought all the tickets and then no one's going to go to the match.
No, super.
Anyway,
They
continue.
might just go buy Kaizer chips.
Anyway, we have a final to speak about tomorrow. MTN 8 final. Pirates versus Sundowns.
Before we get to that, see now my oh yes, on the stadium band thing or playing behind closed doors. This is not a rant per se, but it's
It is.
This
it is.
round is?
This round is brought to you by Betway. Get way more.
okay. Cool. It's more of a question than it is a rant, but as part of a rant. Okay, spectators go either on the 28th of October or the 8th of November.
Yeah.
They go misbehave, right? Do you think the DC is going to sit and then Chiefs plays behind closed doors on the 11th of November?
Against Orlando Pirates.
You
No,
know
forget.
exactly where I was going.
No, there's no way that's going to happen. We know. That's the reason why, if it's an Orlando Pirates home game, which they play all their home games at Orlando Stadium, they take it to FNB for financial reasons.
Of course.
Yeah,
That's
but
not gonna
But
happen.
my question is,
they will never even.
It's not gonna happen.
So
Even
then
if
what-
even
okay.
if it did happen, they'd put in an appeal, and an appeal process takes a certain amount of time,
And they'll make
then
a decision
they'll
after.
just make the decision after that. So they'll just postpone that ban. It'll never come there.
So essentially, for the sake
And
of
Safa will accept that very, very happily because they will not want that match to be behind closed doors.
so such will be cooked, but like for other teams or for other matches, it's okay for that to happen.
You see?
I'm just asking. I'm just asking.
Hey, man.
You're not just asking, you're saying.
Anyway, yes, you can carry on, Mark.
Okay. Pirates, Sundowns, Super Sub.
Yeah, look,
Final. Anything can happen in a
anything
final.
can happen in the final.
Pirates
and-
played very well against Sundowns in the game that they lost, and they just couldn't convert it.
No, true. And Jose hasn't lost a final that he has played in.
Has Rulane lost one?
Another good point.
Yes, of course.
Which one?
It was semi-finals, eh?
I'm talking about a final.
Let me-
And man has got a lot of trophies under his belt.
yeah, no.
And a very good side.
I want to double check this.
Yeah, no, I can't. Yeah, no, look, I can't remember, but yeah.
Anyway, it should be scintillating
Yeah, to say the least.
because, I mean, you've got a Pirate side who's not in their best form, but it's a final. This is the time to turn it around. It is against Sundowns.
We'll be seeking revenge because last season they were knocked out by Orlando Pirates in the semis. So it's going to be very interesting. And I am just wondering how Pirates are going to line up.
Also, question, interesting point is forget Rulani. When last did Sundowns actually go to a final and lose it?
Yeah, look, I mean.
You're asking good questions when I Lenn.
Do you have answers for those questions?
Nay, and booze. I'm asking.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'm asking.
Yeah, no, I mean, when last did they get to a final? As well. Last year they didn't get to any final.
Fair point.
Yeah.
No, Sundowns.
Sundowns.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the season before, they won everything on offer.
Yeah, I mean, I think the last one was Nedbank when they beat, was it Marumo Gallants?
Marumo Gallants, yes, in Rustenburg.
Yeah.
The season before that, I think they won the Nedbank Cup as well in 2021.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Both teams have, like in the past 2 years, have shown that they are formidable when it comes to cup competitions, and it will be interesting to see how it's going to set off.
Look, and I suppose as well, it bodes down well because both teams would have had enough rest because they didn't play this entire week.
Sure.
No PSL midweek games, which is funny actually because I thought they would have actually had like maybe even Tuesday games. But
it was
they
postponed.
They I think they were supposed to play Golden
Yes, it
Arrows.
was.
So it would have been interesting if they actually had midweek games to almost kind of gauge how both teams would approach the final, which personnel they use in midweek versus the personnel that they're going to use tomorrow during the final.
Okay, so Sundowns won in 2022 and 2020. Maruma Gallants won in 2021. So anyway, it's going to be a fascinating competition. I think if Pirates don't get hold of the midfield where Sundowns are the strongest, they'll struggle. And the other element that we saw was a problem in the DStv Premiership game was converting the chances. Yeah. So you can put Sundowns under all the pressure in the world, create a million chances. If you don't convert those chances, if you don't have the quality in the final third or the final part of play, in terms of the final pass and the finish,
Yeah, no, definitely.
you're not going to win.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's going to be one in the midfield, that match. And one other thing that I want to mention, I think it will be very, very sad if the officiating does not come to the... Yeah, because...
the officiating will come to the party. And when I say they're going to come to the party, you know exactly what I mean.
I'm hoping that it's going to be a top-notch officiating, which will match what the two teams are going to bring, I just don't want this game to be lost in an era that made by an official.
Yeah, because that is going to, it determines a lot.
The past two games, Mamelodi Sundowns have been getting those...
I'm not ashamed.
What? Lucky breaks.
They were getting those lucky errors. I don't know what to call them, but I mean, I guess Kaizer Chiefs, we saw what happened. I guess Orlando Pirates as well, we saw what happened. So I'm just hoping that come tomorrow, we're going to have a ref that is it's going to be ready for the big match and be fair.
Do you know what I'm referring to when I'm saying I'm not ashamed?
What?
Remember Peter?
When he said he's benefiting as well.
I'm not ashamed to benefit. Yes. So that's what I was referring to. Hence, I was laughing. But like, I think it's going to be end-to-end. Finals are very difficult matches. To actually, it's very difficult to call a final because anything can happen in a final. It's one game, 90 minutes, or possibly MTN 8 goes straight to penalties. No.
Does it not do extra time?
It's got extra. In the final, I think it's got
extra time and then penalties.
So it's going to be very tight. It might come down to mistakes. It might come down to officiating mistakes as well, but pretty much might come down to mistakes. And interestingly enough, I'm sorry, in my last point, I find it weird that COSAFA, in the COSAFA Cup, the Women's Cup, that's currently taking place,
yes,
they are using VAR.
Is it?
Why didn't MTN, like, just as an experimental thing, why didn't?
But I read somewhere that Victor Gomes was assigned, I don't know, with a few other people to work on a proposal of getting VAR for PSL. I don't know how far that is, but it's not something that is really, really out there in terms of information being shared.
It's VAR is always going to be a discussion of facilities. You know, if you have it in one stadium, you have to have it in all of the approved stadiums. But we discussed this already. We said there's already standards that you need to meet to be a DStv Premiership stadium.
Yeah.
If you add that as a standard, the stadiums must meet it.
I think the pay TV channel is most likely going to be an extra hand in supporting the facilities that are needed for VAR. As well.
That's smart.
Definitely.
Yeah. But in conclusion, guys, I think we're going to have a lot of goals. I'm hoping that we have a lot of goals. Considering also that Mamelodi Sundowns, you know, for example, Orlando Pirates has how many? Maybe 2, if not 3 players that we know are going to score. And when it comes to Sundowns, you actually have a longer list. You know, Costa, Shalile, Kekana, Mudibanku. So there's a possibility that a goal can come from, you know, most players in the team. So, you know, Orlando Pirates needs to be wary of that.
Bar goalkeeper.
Yeah,
that's the only person he must be like, okay, we know that Ronan is not going to score.
You don't need to mark him.
Basically, you know. But yeah, we move.
Super Sub looks worried, eh?
Yeah, no, it's a big game tomorrow.
It's true. Yeah, tomorrow is D-Day.
Yeah, no, it's D-Day. You know, especially us exiting the CAF Champions League, we really need this, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, before we move on to other continents and other football, I wanted to have a look at the tactics board because something just really sat with me after speaking to Gavin about tactics last week. And it really emerged to me that the idea, as we switch over to my tactics board, the idea of 4-4-2 making some sort of return to football based purely on personnel. If you have the personnel for a 4-4-2, 4-4-2 could make a return to football everywhere.
What does that mean?
Well, let's have a look at the board.
Yes.
Let's have a look at the board. So this would be the assembly of a 4-4-2 versus like a 4-2-3-1, or what we can call a 4-3-3 as well. Over here, this would be a traditional 4-4-2 against one of these tactics. Now, the expectation of a 4-4-2 in attack would look something along these lines: the 2 banks of 4 and the 2 strikers coming up against 2 central defenders. Now, if I look at this as an expectation, you expect the teams to not line up specifically like this because you don't want to isolate your 2 centre backs against 2 centre forwards. So you might tighten up there and these players might come back to support, or you'll have one of your number 6 come back to support against them there. But that's not how I'm expecting a modern 4-4-2 attack to line up. So if we look at the 4-3-3 defensive line, this is something that I spoke about, those 2 banks of 4 in terms of a defensively minded team. We'll set up with these 2 banks of 4 at the back, which already is starting to look like a 4-4-2, even though that's a 4-3-3 converting back to a 4-4-2 when they're defending. But when you look at the 4-4-2 as a narrow attack, this is where I think it's going to be very powerful. You look at the 2 centre forwards are still standing on their mans, and your 2 wide players, which would normally be a 7 and 11, would be helping out on one of the flanks. They are now going to become narrow players. So this is what I mean by personnel, is that if you don't have an 11 and a 7, traditional wingers who want to go wide and bang down the wings, you can actually create a very narrow form of attack Because what we've seen defensively, a lot of teams are starting to limit your ability to bring balls in from wide. And you need to be able to play through a defensive team. And if you've got those two players narrow and you put all of your expectation on your fullbacks to give you all the width, look at the overlap or the amount of players that you've got in here, in this area over here. You've got a serious overlap in numbers in the central area, which will allow creative players to make some passes through in between the lines for some of the attacking players like your 10, 9, and 8. And then your expectation is now left with the fullbacks to provide all of the width. Now, you might think to yourself, doesn't that leave you vulnerable to a counter-attack?
I was about to ask that.
Exactly.
It
But-
opens up the fullbacks.
But does it really? Because now you're 11 and 7 who are hanging back a slight bit. If you lose possession, they've got the ability to come back and help your 6, 5, and 4 over
But
there.
if you lose possession, right, in trying to be creative, especially in the box, if you've got a player like Martin Odegaard, for instance, or a Jude Bellingham, for instance, or a Kevin De Bruyne, for instance, where that 6 is between the 11 and the 8, a pass with spacing from the 10 and the number 9 breaking with the speed of a Erling Haaland, for instance,
Or
or
a
a
Son.
Kylian Mbappe, or a Son, you'll get seriously hurt.
You can, but like I said, this 11 or the 7 would be out wide on one of the flanks anyway, normally, right? So
Yes.
you'd either have the 11 or the 7 out here. Now that you've got the overlap in the middle, they can sort of sit slightly back to pick up balls, and then they've got the ability to come back over here, back here. You've got that ability to cover when your fullbacks have now been left vulnerable, which is a regular occurrence. And you do have some ability over here with these 3 players being marshaled for 2. So the concern of some pace coming from either 7 or 11 over here from the other team, their pace is your concern, right? Is for them to create the overlay on defense. But that's the responsibility of your 11 and your 7, those midfielders that we're saying are more centralized now, are now going to be given the responsibility of falling back in transition. So I think that the 4-4-2 is an option in terms of going forward, because the lack of ability to create success on the wings is becoming more and more prevalent in the game. And I think that creating a 4-4-2, even if it's as a diamond formation over here, so if we create our 4-4-2 like this rather, as a diamond, that's going to be interesting if you've got a 4-4-2 diamond in terms of your narrow ability in attack, and then the responsibility on the players to still work hard and invert in transition to be able to cover any sort of transitional counter-attack. So I think that's going to be something interesting to watch, because we've had a few years of dominance of the 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3 formations. We've had a few eras of dominance of that formation. But for me, the only reason the 4-4-2 looks interesting, once again, based on the personnel you have. So if you're not reliant on your wingers, if you didn't spend all your money on Jadon Sancho, Garnacho, Anthony, and Rashford, I think, is actually the perfect example for why a 4-4-2 would work, is because Rashford as a number 10 can play centrally with the number 9, and they can split because of their wide ability. And then your number 8, like a Bruno Fernandes, who scores a lot of goals, can become your false 9 in a way. So I think it gives you actual versatility in a way that you don't have if you're struggling to create your goals from wide, like some teams in England are having, like some teams in the DStv Premiership are having, and you have creative players in the midfield. If you've got the personnel for this, 4-4-2 can really be a game changer, and it's going to be something to watch going forward.
Interesting.
Yeah, but if you get a team like your City that can hold position and they're clinical with their passes, yeah, you can get harm because it opens up so much spaces, and that a team like that, you don't give them space.
Well, once again, you're not going to be overly enterprising against a team like that, right? So in your 4-4-2, in that fixture, these two are going to be given the responsibility of holding back. So your number 8 isn't going to be able to join the attack. You're going to have to go for a more defensively minded 4-4-2 if you're playing against a City who can really harm you. City can harm you anyway.
Yeah, I know.
But it also depends on the kind of team you're playing against. If they're going to be defending very deep, then I kind of hear where you're going. But if their line of defense is a tad bit higher, then it's almost like, okay, cool. They literally going to break the formation that you're trying to go with.
Yeah, I mean, they can. It depends on how high you go. So once again, even in a 4-2-3-1, you can be overly aggressive.
Yes.
You know, or like a 4-3-3, for example, which is perhaps doesn't have the 4-2-3-1. The idea is that you've got two holding midfielders, an Amrabat and a Casemiro, you know, which we said was too defensive for a Man United side unless they're coming against the Man City or whatever. Then you want to shore up shop. But then you're not going to commit the numbers forward in the same way. So I think it's just going to be an interesting thing to watch. If you don't have enterprising wingers and your responsibility from wide is on the fullbacks, you might as well have creative players overloading the midfield.
Fair.
Okay.
Interesting.
Formations we've had 4-4-2, 4-3-2-1, what, 4-3-3,
4-3-3.
or 10-1 if you park the bars type of vibes. The ballers can actually tell us in the comment section, like, which formation do they think is actually the next best one after what we're currently seeing a lot from world football?
Yeah, for me, it would be a 4-4-2 or 4-5-1, depending on, once again, like I think Gavin put it so eloquently. Who do you have? Who are your personnel?
Do you buy for formation or do you formation with what you have?
Depends how much money you've got.
Okay.
It also boils down to your philosophy as well.
Yeah. Well, you need to, like Gavin said, once again, you need to be able to adapt your philosophy based on your personnel. You need to be adaptable in modern football.
True. I mean, like if you find yourself struggling with creativity and you know that you've got players who can, what's his name? The Big Sam type of football, helicopter football, Big Sam. You know, Big Sam, corner, cross it in. Hope you've got some lanky strikers there, and then they head it in. You sit back and defend. Easy peasy.
Is that what you call, is that what you call 4-4-2? You call it helicopter?
Generally 4-4-2 football, 4-4-2
in the latter years of
formation.
4-4-2 was
it
helicopter
became
football.
helicopter football.
Yeah, where you had a very big striker and maybe a skillful one off of
Yeah.
him, and you just punch the ball up to Andy Carroll and hope that he managed to give the ball over to his striking partner, which at the time was Suarez, which helped. And that's probably the last time we saw 4-4-2 in that way.
When last did Big Sam coach? He coached last season, right? So there's probably some signs of 4-4-2 there somewhere.
For Leeds, yeah, maybe. Speaking of the Premier League, let's jet off over to there. Guys, quick touch. Spurs versus Liverpool, VAR, big error in their decision for Diaz's offside goal.
Super Sub, I want to hear from you.
Why me? No, I think it was a human error. It happened, but I think it changed the complexion of the game.
That doesn't help Liverpool fans. It's a human error. It happens.
But it does.
It does.
And it's happened
It's
in
been
the past.
happening.
Yes.
Before VAR, actually,
It was all human error.
it was all human error. The machine was only brought in, and hence the name, video
Assisted
assistant.
referee.
Keyword, assistant. It's not doing the job, it's assisting you with the job.
Goal line technology is doing the job.
Yes.
That's the one we're all happy with.
There we
yes.
go.
Yeah.
Because the system is designed in such a way that it does the job.
It has fixed all the problems with goal line technology. It has fixed all of the goal line problems.
So
Fixed.
if people are expecting VAR to do the refereeing job, then why do you need a referee then?
Then why do you need VAR? We can also ask that question.
It's to assist.
Do you just one question to close off the VAR thing? Do you think that VAR is frustrating because it's there, and it's not, and there's still so many errors? Or do you think it's frustrating that it's made the game even worse? As in, there's fewer decisions correct.
Sometimes two truths can be correct at the same time.
I think that VAR has made a difference in terms of overall, there's more correct decisions in the game than there were before VAR.
So we have to take the good with the bad.
We have to accept that there's been improvement in terms of the results of referees' decisions being correct. There's been an improvement, but it's still not perfect, and we have to just hope that it continues to get better.
But okay, here's the thing, and what I'm gonna say is probably on two fronts. I'm not sure why it's such a big fuss, just because it happens to Liverpool. It's been happening. So many teams have fallen victim to incorrect decisions based on VAR not necessarily doing what's right.
Are you accusing Liverpool fans of something?
But I'm trying to find out why are they crying?
It happens to everyone.
It
happens to
At the end of
everyone.
the day,
It does.
football.
It's like Liverpool
This
fans,
was a particularly bad one. This specific decision was quite bad.
there's
It was
been
bad
bad.
because the assistant was supposed to say it's onside, right?
No, he's not here.
I see what you did there.
So, what I'm trying to say is Liverpool fans crying about what happened is no different to me crying about load shedding during load shedding to my neighbor, because
You're both going through the
we're
same
both
thing.
going through the same thing.
Yeah.
Big weekend coming up for Premier League football. But before we do that, Tippy, shall we jet off? Let's go worldwide with Tippy Worldwide.
Let's jet off.
Brought to you by Betway.
Something dope is happening, and we're going to start here in Mzansi. We spoke about a gentleman earlier. We call him AKA the Prince of South African football. The Prince?
Joman.
There we go.
Is he not the
Jomo
Black
Son.
Prince?
The Black Prince, yes, indeed. The Black Prince of South African football. So FIFA has awarded him with a stamp of approval because himself, as well as a company, well, I'll remember the name, but they have come up with a device.
Playmaker.
Playmaker, there we go. And they've come up with a device where you would strap it onto a player's boots, and it's able to track, you know how well the player is doing. It counts their steps, and overall, it's going to then assist with, the technology of football. So now it has been awarded. It's got a stamp of approval. And according to news, it is going to start being made now. So according to Playmaker's official site, the gadget is strapped onto the foot, like I've mentioned. It has a system that rates the player's various abilities required for football. So as much as he might not be doing well, in the first division, but he's got this device now, and it's got a stamp of approval
the
from
tender.
FIFA.
So he owns it, or
No, total 10.
I believe that he is working with
In partnership
Playmaker. There we go.
with the thing. So
With
he's,
Playmaker. So he's
So-
part of this whole thing. And
Hey,
he was
that's a
saying-
good stamp of approval.
how
First
much-
of
from
all,
FIFA?
let's bring up an image now of it. I think it looks very cool.
number one.
It-
Yeah.
it
How
looks
much
very-
tracking do you need to do?
But you know what the thing is?
What is the difference between that one and the vest?
So those ones that we see when a player takes his shirt off and they've got that
that one
strappy
there.
vest that's got the
Yes.
tracking or whatever.
Catapult.
It's just that because it's on the boots, it's able to give you a different type of reading.
Yes,
to
it's
what
more
the-
accurate.
Yes, so it can give you readings of the amount of force that you put into a kick or a pass, the number of passes that you make exactly and more precisely, rather than something that's telling you the number of sprints you make, etc., etc. So because of its location on the boots, it's left foot, right foot, this and that, something that a vest won't be able to tell you, the number of left-footed passes, the number of left-footed shots, the number of right-footed shots. So it's able to give you a different amount of statistics because it's strapped to the boots to what you were able to get from the vest alone. So I think that's an interesting thing.
What's
and
next?
something we'll be able to see.
So he
that's
says-
what's next.
Yeah, exactly. And
Earring
he
or
says,
something,
and
because I feel like it's new, but it's kind of not new, because in 2010 there was a little chippy thing that you would put inside. I think Adidas actually made it.
Adidas had it,
Yes.
and I had this in I had this in 2012.
in the
or something.
F50s, right?
Yeah, so
Yes.
you had that, but I think this is slightly different.
So it's not groundbreaking per se.
Yeah.
But it's still
I mean,
impressive.
it's revolutionary also. And I mean, come on, guys. It's something dope. He says when I met these guys
I'm finished with
overseas
you
and I saw
guys.
this device.
We're gonna move on.
Yeah,
even.
yeah. Because
You
why
killed
y'all
it.
haters, y'all?
You killed
This is
it.
dope.
Tepe and I were excited,
We were
and you
so
guys killed
excited,
it.
you guys.
No, we're moving on.
Yeah, hey, let's
Aye.
move.
Okay, where we jetting off
haters
to?
gonna hate. Dang.
You know what? Make him upset. Let's go to
Actually, we're going
America.
to his favorite place.
Let's go there.
We're going to your favorite place. We're talking MLS, and only because he is representing South Africa and is doing it quite well. So congratulations to him. Lemoneko, in fact, you're the one who, gave us some information on this because I had not really checked it out. But there's a gentleman who's doing quite well representing South Africa. I just want to go back to him. So his name is Kano.
Bradley Kane.
There
Bradley
we go.
Former Kaizer Chiefs defender.
Yes. He's now is second behind FC Cincinnati in the overall table and will compete for the conference final title. So the CONCACAF.
No, where's Western Confederation?
Yes.
Confederation, yes.
There we go.
Which gives him an opportunity to make it into Major League Soccer.
There we go.
And he's got thingy playing for him, right?
Blom.
The boy from
Jabule.
Yeah, Blom is
Jabula
playing for
Blom,
him.
yes.
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
scored a cracker.
Yeah. He's having fun there. Eh?
Yeah, no, definitely.
He should be. I mean, soccer.
Yeah, he's playing soccer, not football.
Hey, well, that was Around the World with Tepe Worldwide.
Just like
Thank you so much for that, Tepe. Super Sub, I think you're getting a bit of a yellow card or something. You can't speak for a little bit. You made me too
Yo,
upset.
because
Aye.
like I'm in my feelings about the
Even
Jumbo sort
me.
of thing because I'm
Even
so
me.
excited.
Yellow card,
I'm in my
please.
feelings. Anyway, let's move.
Okay, let's move on. Okay, guys, let's go to our second home, the Premier League. We've got some fixtures coming up this weekend.
Hey, and
I'm gonna
ballers, by the way, are so upset because they say this is not the only competition that matters. There's
Aye, it
Bundesliga, there's Serie A.
It is the
But
only one that
anyway.
matters, please, guys.
Sure.
No, okay. Hey, do I not speak about Serie A?
Aye, Makomi, I'm not involved. And Super Sub can't say anything.
Big fixture this weekend. Arsenal
biggest.
at home, Manchester City.
City are a hospital at the moment.
Yeah.
No Rodri again. They seem to suffer without him against Wolves.
Yep.
Len, I'm going to let you take this one. It's your team.
Arsenal to win. Actually, no, both teams to score.
Both teams to score. Okay, but away from a betting prediction, overall confidence levels, Arsenal playing enterprising football. They scored 4 on the weekend.
They have a bad record at home, especially defensively.
And Man City are very good. And I expect them to bounce back. Man City never seem to lose 2 in a row. So Man City will be devastated that they lost to Wolves because now it's a very tough game following that up.
That's true. Okay, so we have the absence
City
of
for a win.
City, yeah, definitely. So we have the absence of Rodri. Your favorite De Bruyne is not going to be there also. It says here that Bernardo Silva might not also be there.
That's a lot
So
of
that's
very
going to,
good
but
players.
Stones is back.
Hospital.
So Stones could hold down the fort for
Chris
Rodri.
Hahn.
That's what it said.
Well, okay, it's tough. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go for a draw. I don't fancy Arsenal to go all season unbeaten, and I don't fancy Spurs to do it
They've done it
either.
before.
Aye.
We've been having it.
Where's Patrick Vieira this time? You need a Vieira. No, I think
We've
it's a
got a
different
Rice.
era. I think it's
May I
going
ask-
to be
Yeah.
it's going to be a long time before we see a level of dominance in the Premier League. It's become such a competitive league. It's so tough. And not to diminish Arsenal's achievement of going invincible when they did. I think it's even harder to do again.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of weak teams in the league this season. If you look at it, a lot of teams are Super Sub. Okay, cool. You are unmuted now.
Yeah. I'm back.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Sin Pin.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, wrong
Like
sport.
ice hockey.
There's a lot of teams that are not impressing this season. They're not improving. This
Just
season.
say Manchester United and
He's-
Chelsea.
it's amongst
Okay, yes,
Man
and?
United is one of those teams. Sheffield United don't look enterprising at all.
Bournemouth.
Luton. Burnley might maybe turn the corner.
Luton is not
No,
seen the
Luton
sun.
are actually improving.
I don't fancy them to survive though. I think Spurs
If they-
continue to go unbeaten
But
this
look-
weekend against Luton. I think they'll even get the win.
Of course.
Look, against the much bigger opponents or tougher opponents, like against maybe Arsenal, City, Spurs, Liverpool, and the Crystal Palaces of this world, Luton will lose. But against fellow strugglers, like Everton, for instance. Everton are likely to find themselves where they are because they really
They're poor.
I haven't seen Everton that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, even Frank
Ever.
Lampard did a better job.
I've never seen Everton
Careful.
ever.
Careful.
You know, so I think Luton have a chance. Brentford, they look disjointed. I think ever since the start of the season, them without Mr. Tony, they look like there's no structure there. So
Who's actually playing now for reserve side, eh? Because obviously it's gonna come back in January, but he's playing.
come back and probably
Yeah,
move.
he played. But that was interesting that they let him do that because he was supposed to be banned from all
forms of
footballing
football, yeah.
activity. So to be playing
think
for the
it's,
reserve teams.
It's unofficial matches that he's playing.
Oh,
Sure. I think that's interesting that he got that permission. But
just by the way, something quite interesting, and I'm talking to a Ghana to be precise. The last time Arsenal defeated Manchester City in the Premier League was in 2015.
I remember it was in December. And
That's-
I actually phoned Super Sub. I was so happy. I
That's-
broke a bottle of champagne.
5 losses in the last 5 fixtures. Let's move on from that fixture. Guys, I was coming prepared from last week to come speak here about how Chelsea's form has been since Graham Potter left. If you tally up the 35 fixtures that they played in the Premier League, that's nearly a full season. They will have been joint bottom every season for the past few seasons. So it's relegation battle form that Chelsea has been in since Graham Potter left. Turned it around a little bit on Monday night. They needed a sponsor on the front of the shirt.
Yeah.
You know, it made a difference. Mudryk finally scoring a goal. And this weekend they're playing against Burnley, who aren't scintillatingly good, are they?
Yeah.
So Chelsea to start turning the corner, Lenn,
No.
still to struggle.
It
I
just
think-
might be a 1-0 again, man. Yes, but
Relegation
continue.
battle at the end of the season.
Mid-table.
Best they can hope for.
Look, the pace has been set already. Almost said United. Oh, sorry, United, yes. But I'm talking about Newcastle. Spurs, Arsenal, Man City, I did mention those.
Brighton, Aston Villa.
Brighton as well. Aston Villa. Those guys have already set the pace.
Is that the new Big Six? Aston
now.
Villa and Brighton to replace Chelsea and Man United in the new Big Six for this season.
As it looks. West Ham also like little bit scrapping and trying to find themselves in there.
Newcastle coming back.
Newcastle are also
You're
getting
saying that
momentum.
Still there.
you're saying there's weak teams in the Premier League this season. Look at that list.
No, that's only like
That's
I'd
a top
say
8.
about 9.
Yeah.
But the other 11 really leave much to be desired. And in that 11, I'm adding Chelsea and Manchester United.
Everton, Bournemouth, Brentford,
Man United.
Wolves.
Wolves.
Wolves. Look, against City, Wolves at home.
That's one off.
It's a once-off. It won't happen every weekend. But since the start of the season, man, Wolves. Look,
Yeah,
against
but then
Man
Wolves
United,
about men. Yeah, the very first match actually was
played
the
better.
strongest. Was a very strong
Forest,
match.
Crystal
Yeah.
Palace, Sheffield United. I don't see weakness really in the league. It's a very strong league, and I think it's going to be interesting. Let's get back to the fixtures. So, Brighton versus Liverpool. That's another Big Six fixture.
Who's the ref? I'm kidding. Brighton, Liverpool.
Liverpool have been very good.
But Brighton have, I think they were one of the first teams to actually get Liverpool's number during that Liverpool era
That
of
era.
dominance. Yes. It was during lockdown, I think, and they actually beat them at Anfield. It's a toughie. At Anfield, lunchtime.
I'm going to
It's a
ask you
win
for
for
this
them.
quickly. We're running out of time.
Yeah.
Whew. Oh, sorry. No. The game is playing. Sorry, at Brighton.
At Brighton.
Yes. I fancy Brighton for a win.
Seppi?
I fancy Liverpool for a win.
Super sub?
It's a Brighton win.
Sure.
Marco?
They played really poorly against Aston Villa. I think Liverpool have their number.
No, Aston Villa were very good.
Yeah, and Liverpool will be as well, I think. They have a
still
couple
hurt,
suspensions on their
Got suspensions.
on their books, etc. I think Liverpool turn it around, to be honest. Everton versus Bournemouth. I think even though Everton are at home, they've been very poor at home. I think Bournemouth will take that game. I think Everton sure, if they don't turn it around by January, they're going to be struggling to survive.
Draw. That's how bad both teams are.
I don't know. I think Bournemouth are just a touch better. I think they'll have Everton's number. Fulham, Sheffield United, both teams not great at the moment.
It
Fulham.
might be a draw.
Fulham at home,
Yeah.
I'd
I
fancy
fancy Fulham at
them
home.
to just take it. Crystal Palace, I think, fairly good side against Nottingham Forest at home on Saturday night.
Definitely.
I think Crystal Palace should take that
Why are
one
you
on
skipping
a
a fixture, Marco?
Saturday night. I didn't skip a fixture. I think Man United at home to Brentford, they should get the win. I think most people expect them to actually start getting wins
It's
at some
expectations
point.
that kill you, eh?
Yeah, but Brentford will show up
Easy how
against
he's looking at you.
against a vulnerable Man United side at the moment. So I think Brentford will think that they've got a chance, and as they rightfully should. But I think Man United will scrape it and start putting together a few
Anthony
results.
back training with the team. He might
yes, saw
feature
that.
in that side.
Not
Do
that
you
we
Might
fancy
make
him?
us worse. I don't know. Does anyone make Man United worse? Anthony doesn't make them better, but nobody makes them worse at the moment. I can tell you
But
that.
you still fancy them against against Brentford, rather.
I do. Maybe it's
Based on what?
fan naivety.
Oh, okay, cool.
But no, I think Man United, something just needs to click, and
It hasn't cluck.
there's no clicking going on.
It hasn't clacked.
So, I mean, I think Spurs will win at Luton
Of course.
Definitely.
tomorrow. That's the early fixture tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we won't be watching Crystal Palace versus Nottingham Forest because we'll be watching MTN 8 final anyway. Wolves versus Aston Villa. Aston Villa will overcome Wolves even away at Molineux. So those are
see
my
Wolves, eh?
picks. You think Wolves?
Yeah.
I fancy Villa.
Villa too strong at the moment.
Okay, what? Okay.
I think Aston Villa and West Ham versus Newcastle. I'm going to go for a draw. West Ham at home, Newcastle playing well again, both to score.
I'm going for a West Ham win.
West Ham win?
Yes.
Both to score as well?
Ish, with Newcastle, they always have a goal in them. Yes, both to score.
Well, guys, that brings a wrap to our Premier League fixtures. Anything to add, Super Sub?
Just shout out to our top 5 on ONSIDE ZA Fantasy League.
Oh, yes.
fantasy.
Let me check
Hey, it's been
them
chowing me,
out.
eh?
I just know my name's not there. That's all. I haven't been checking. I haven't had the time.
So at number 1, Rindelani Larumbe Black Mamba. Number 2, Mohale Silimo Bets United FC.
Okay.
Number 3, Mkebo Masuku Onei. And number 4, Peter Vunda Ilembe.
Shaga.
And number 5, Norman Murobe Blue Moon City FC.
Guys, not one of us.
None of us.
This is embarrassing.
I'm in the top 100. Aye.
Okay, so you know what? That gives me an idea.
Yeah.
We do a giveaway every month.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
We do a giveaway every month now. Last month, Calvin Kane, he got the Dr. Kumalo 98-99 season Kaizer Chiefs shirt and R1,000 top-up courtesy of Betway on his Betway account. This month is an even more exciting prize.
Really?
One of you ballers will take a seat right here and join us on the show as a guest.
Top one.
By the way, can Kevin send us a picture of when he's wearing the t-shirt?
Please.
Yeah,
Please,
we
Calvin
wanna
Kane.
see you.
We
Yeah,
want
that would be
we
dope.
want a picture of you in your Kamalo
Yes,
shirt.
please.
But one of you ballers will be joining us before the end of October for a show. So if you do want to join us on the show, make sure that you're available in Johannesburg for that show.
Yeah.
Not
Number
paying for
2, make sure that you've got a Betway account and you actively use it. That's important. And in the comments, predict the outcome of Arsenal versus Manchester City. We will choose one of you to join us here before the end of October as a guest on the show. For me, I think that's a bigger prize than any prize we have
that's
the
dope.
capability of
That's
giving.
pretty
That's a
dope.
dope
That's
prize.
pretty
I
dope.
agree.
That's
So
pretty
we've
dope.
had a lot of ballers asking us, can they come on the show? This is your opportunity to come on the show and show us how little we actually know.
Thank you.
But from me, Seppi, darling, yes, you have something to say?
Something that's really like kind of like stressing me out very, very quickly. The whole saga with African Football League.
Oi.
Look, until the BOG and SAFA get their stuff sorted out, because I think the BOG still needs to meet and make a decision.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's still too up in the air at the moment.
Yes.
Eh?
The board of governors of the PSL.
Yes.
So that's basically all the all the team.
Do you think that they don't? Okay, I mean, I understand that they're saying that obviously it's going to affect Mamelodi Sundowns if they were to take part because they have to change fixtures around. But don't you think there's a bit of equality Guti potentially Sundowns could win over 70 million?
No, I don't think so. You look at it this way: if Sundowns has to go play that MTN 8 that went to a private school competition, it's essentially going to mean that, I mean, for 2 or 3 weeks they won't be around.
Exactly.
Catch up. When are they going to catch up? Considering there's a CAF Africa Cup of Nations happening
Also.
in January
Yes.
already, which is going to cut the league
Even shorter.
in shorter. So
Yeah.
when does, and then Sundowns is playing in the CAF Champions League.
On top of that.
And then Sundowns is probably, well, not probably, they're going to be in the Black Label Cup. They're going to be in the Nedbank Cup. So can you see the amount of fixtures that they need to
Congestion.
play?
Hey, we've
It's
complained
too much.
about this from before the
Yes.
season
So-
started.
So money doesn't count.
I don't think it's a money situation.
Okay.
I think the league, in their reading of the situation, is like, nah,
It's going to be
this thing
strenuous.
is going to disrupt continuity. And already we have a season that's not fully as full is supposed to be full.
On that bombshell.
Is that?
On that bombshell, let's leave it. Remember to join us here onside. Stay onside. Don't be offside. We have been Marco, Lenn, Tsepi, and Super Sub.
Danko.
Join us again. Powered by Betway. Get way more.